Hey closer, welcome to the free community here. I'm excited to have you. I wanted to create an introduction to legal closing because you're probably asking yourself what it's all about, and you probably got some questions about what this looks like. So I want to be able to take you through a journey of what legal closing looks like, what to expect from a non-attorney salesperson role, and all that's entailed along the journey. So join me as I kick things off and walk you through. I'm going to break this into different modules so you can go through and get a complete understanding of everything. If you've got additional questions after you go through all of these that aren't answered, just message me on school, let me know, and I'll make an additional video to throw in the modules, all right? So first, let me define what does closing mean in the context of a law firm. So to be clear, closing in a law firm is you're meeting with a prospect that has been set by an appointment setter on the legal or on the law firm team, and they are coming in with a problem that they need solved. And what closing means for this is that you are closing the deal, meaning collecting initial payment and obviously sending out the agreement and scheduling the onboarding call. Now, to be clear, what does closing look like in the context of a law firm? Meaning, what are you actually selling for a law firm? And to be clear, what you're selling is the service or the outcome that that law firm provides. Let me give you an example. We work with 5 primary practice areas. When I mean practice areas, it means their specialty of law. Those 5 primary practice areas are bankruptcy law firms, criminal defense law firms, family law firms, estate planning and probate law firms, and immigration law firms. And so take bankruptcy, for example. That's where I actually grit my teeth and built my role as a non-attorney sales closer. In bankruptcy, you have someone that's in a drowning financial period. They're drowning in debt. Maybe their house is about to get foreclosed on, and you're selling the outcome of stopping that, and you're basically selling a fresh start. You don't need to know the legalese, and I'll explain why in a second. But what the law firm is going to do for them is they are going to, through the legal system, help relieve that debt and get them on to a fresh start. That's an example of what you're doing in bankruptcy. In estate planning, you're helping someone create a will or a trust to protect their family in the future from having to go through the probate process and having to deal with estate taxes and not knowing where all of their assets are going to be passed down to from a heirs or children perspective. You're selling that outcome in estate planning. So when it comes to selling legal services, you're selling the actual service that the law firm is doing, but more importantly, the outcome that they're delivering. Popular question is, why do law firms need closers instead of the attorneys doing it themselves? Well, to be clear, most attorneys do start by running all of their consultations themselves. When an attorney starts a law firm, they are the one-man or one-woman show. Everything starts and ends with them. Here's the problem. If they want to grow their law firm and scale their law firm as a business, they can't consistently do that. So at a point, they recognize that the only way for them to scale to the next level to be able to help more people is to bring in a non-attorney salesperson, so that way they create more capacity, and the non-attorney salesperson's job is quite literally to conduct initial consultations and convert prospects into clients. And what that does is that frees the attorney up, so that way they no longer have to spend the majority of their time in consultations. Now they can work on providing a better client experience, expanding the business development and growth of the law firm, serving more clients, and actually fulfilling the legal work, because that's another problem that happens. They sign on all these new cases, but then they need to go fulfill the legal work. So then they have to slow the sales side down again because they can't keep up. And it's this endless cycle of feast and famine, feast and famine. And it puts them in a very difficult position. So the attorneys that are serious about growing their law firm business, to be clear, they own a law firm. That is a business. In order for them to continue to scale that, they recognize they need to put someone in the sales role to build capacity. This is one of the number one things we teach law firms. So what makes legal sales different from other high ticket closing jobs like real estate, coaching, SaaS? Well, let me boil it down to one thing. In a lot of those industries, in many cases, you may be selling someone that think they want coaching, or maybe they think they want real estate, or maybe they think they want to invest in a SaaS product. And when you get on those sales calls, it's not always them making a decision more about who they're going to go with, but you actually walking them through the value proposition of why they need this in the first place and why it should be you. And in legal sales, you're dealing with a different prospect. I mean, really, it's a closer's dream, if I'm honest with you, because you are dealing with people that are 100% aware that they have a problem that they need solved, like they're drowning in debt, they're about to have their house foreclosed on, they're about to get hit with a wage garnishment, their family member just passed away and they don't have an estate plan, so they need probate to happen, right? You're dealing with people that are problem aware, and it's in most cases less about if they're going to hire a law firm and more about who they're going to hire. So as long as you're running our proven structure and script to be able to convert them, you are now dealing with a different demographic of person. In addition to that, legal sales is very rewarding because you are quite literally taking someone that's in a very difficult time in their life and you are helping them to a brighter future. And so there's a lot of fulfillment in what you do as a non-attorney salesperson because you get to be the conduit that actually helps and makes a difference in their life. And that's a really big difference. Do some of those other industries do that same thing in different ways? Yeah. The other big thing is you're selling to consumers. It's B2C, not B2B. So one of the things I get asked is, because it's legal sales, what ethical or compliance rules are required when selling legal services? The number one gold standard rule is, as a non-attorney, you cannot give a prospect legal advice. That goes for any non-attorney staff in the law firm. So when it comes to compliance standards, that is the gold standard. You can't even toe the line of giving legal advice. And that's what we train you on, is how do you conduct a consultation that converts at the highest rate without an attorney being present in the consultation and without you giving legal advice. And that's what we've built. We've built a proven structure and framework for you to close 60 to 80% of your consults into clients. But that's the gold standard, no legal advice. So what's the mindset shift needed to have success in this industry? Well, first off, if you already come from a closing background, that the most important part is that you've got experience actually closing a deal, collecting payment, harvesting card, doing the whole nine. But the biggest mindset shift that a lot of salespeople need to make is, and I think the best way to say this is a quote from Zig Ziglar. Sales is not something we do to our prospects. It's something we do for our prospects. I think we need to remember that you are going to get faced with objections probably 90% of the time, whether it's, I don't have that type of money, I need to talk to so-and-so, I need to think about it. When that stuff happens, you need to remember that you're navigating objections not as a pushy salesperson. By the way, nothing we teach is pushy sales. It's all about how to navigate objections in a way that's more consultative and question asking than it is pushing. We should never be pushy salespeople. But remembering that when objections come up, if you don't convert this prospect during the initial consultation, because we go for primarily one call closes, it's not a matter of if they're going to get their problem solved. It's a matter of then what firm are they going to go get it solved from. So if it's not your firm because you couldn't close the deal, you have to remember, if you feel that your firm is the best firm in your geographical location in its practice area, then we should do everything in our power we can to get the deal closed during the initial consultation, because we know that that is now one more person we've helped through a difficult time. So it's reframing our mindset about selling in sales, because sometimes sales can get a bad connotation, and that's not the deal with legal sales.